Hi there everyone, this is Ashley with Marshflower Studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I make my little mini mushrooms. So you will need a color for the top and a color for the bottom. Whatever colors you choose, completely up to you. Go crazy. I do use the fuzzy kind of blanket yarn for these. You could do any yarn you choose. Obviously, if you do more of a worsted weight number 4 yarn, they're going to be much smaller. Or you could do an even heavier yarn and have them be a little bit bigger. The yarn that I'm using is this lovely Yarnspirations Bernat blanket. For my red mushrooms, I use their crimson color. And for all of the stems, I use their almond color for that part. And then when I do the little red mushrooms, I will use my white to just pop a couple little white speckles on there, just kind of embroidered onto the top. So we'll make these little guys really quick. And hopefully you guys like these tiny little mushrooms. They're very easy to make, very quick as well. If you have some, like me, little remnants, little balls of leftover blanket yarn or any other kind of yarn, this is another one of those projects that's really good to kind of work through that stash without just tossing it out. All right, so we're going to start with our magic circle. All right. And in this magic circle, we're going to put 8 single crochets. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you want to pull that closed. All right. Don't pull it too hard because this yarn has a tendency, for me especially, to break if I pull it a little too firmly. So we just want to make sure we get that nice and closed. In our next row, we're going to do 8 single crochets. And these 8 are optional. If you do these 8 single crochets, it gives you this more pointy top kind of mushroom versus one of the flat, more toadstool kind of shapes. So the red one is with the row of single crochets and the purpley one is without. So shape-wise, that row is the only difference. Okay? So your choice. I am going to do the row of 8. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I know crocheting with this fuzzy blanket yarn can be kind of hard to see. And I apologize for that, but as with most things, sometimes there's stuff you can't control. All right, so our next row, we're going to have 8 increases. So we're going to take our stitch count out to 16. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, next row is going to be 16 single crochets. And if I'm going too fast, just hit pause. And once you get to the end of the row, unpause it and we'll move on to the next. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, so this is the end for the top. We're going to do a color change and switch to our bottom color. The way I do that may be different from the way you do it. Either way is fine. The way that I do color changes, I'll do a slip stitch with my old color. And then because I'm switching to this much lighter kind of almond tan color, I'm actually going to do back loop only and grab my new tan color. And this row is actually going to be all back loop, just because it helps kind of pull under this cap, and that's what we want for these little mushrooms. So I'm going to cut my red. I like to tie a little square knot whenever I do a color change. Working with lots of kids' things, I find it makes them a little more secure, so I do that. All right, so continuing our back loop only, we're going to have a single crochet and a decrease, and we're going to do those around, and we're going to end up with one last single crochet that's by itself. Okay, so I'm going to do back loop only, single, and then decrease. Do single, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, and then our last single by itself there. All right, so our next row, we're going to have 5 decreases and then a single crochet. There's 1 decrease, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our single on the end there. Okay, for our next row, we are going to do front loop only and just 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And doing the front loop, back loop stuff just helps the shape kind of bend in the direction you want it to bend without forcing it too much, right? All right, so Our next row is just 6 regular single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, our next row is going to be an increase and a single crochet, and that'll take our stitch count back out to 9. So we're going to do increase 1 and 2, and then 3. Increase with 4 and 5, and then 6, and then increase 7 and 8, and then 9. All right, we're almost finished. Our last row. So sorry, allergies, working hard today. Our last row is going to be back loop only, 9 single crochets. And this is going to kind of create this edge where we pull in to close at the bottom. So we have a nice solid surface for these mushrooms to sit on where they won't just fall over. Okay, so back loop only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right, I'm going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch just to fasten off. We'll cut our yarn and pull that through. All right, now this doesn't look like this, right? So we got to shape it a little bit. So I'm going to push the stem of this up under the cap. All right, so he's got a nice little shelf under here. And that's why I leave this red kind of beginner thread hanging out while I work, because I'll use that to tie off to with this almond color of the stem. I am going to put just a little bit of stuffing into the stem. And then use one of my yarn needles. These plastic ones that are a little bit bigger are a lot easier to use with this thicker blanket yarn. So we'll go under front loop from the outside towards the inside all the way around. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and oh, that last slip stitch is always tight. 9. All right, we'll pull that closed. And make sure you've got a good shape going on. You don't want to pull this red too hard because it will kind of suck the top of your mushroom down. And if you're doing that extra row of 8 to have the more pointy top, you definitely don't want to lose your point. Okay. So then we will just make a little square knot down here, or weave in your ends however you prefer. Pull these through. And pop them back up through the middle there. Trim off this excess. There's our little mushroom. You can use one of our hooks or another needle to kind of tuck those trimmed ends. back inside. And I'll put some little white polka dots on the top here for us. I'm going to use my smaller one for this, just because this one's a little bit easier to work with. And we'll just pick a random spot. And usually what I'll do is I'll go over the spot twice, because I have found if I just do it once, it can tend to kind of disappear down into the other yarn. So when you do it 2 times, it kind of really makes sure that it stays up where you can see those added spots, right? Couple more little spots here. We'll go back out where we started. And you can do as many or as few as you want to add, just wherever. Again, you can weave in your ends or tie a little knot and tuck the tails down through. Turn those off. You may have some fuzzies you gotta clean off. But there is your adorable little blanket yarn mushroom ready to go. So if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do that. You'll catch notifications on all of the new videos that are posted. Make sure you go back and check out old videos. There's lots and lots of stuff that's already been posted that is really cool and fast to make. The mushrooms are adorable. If you do anything for spring, it's just an added little bonus, little pop of color. I do lots of vendor markets in the area where I am, and having stuff like this kind of sitting on the shelves in between the animals just adds some whimsy, I guess, to the overall look of the display. And it kind of helps give people an idea of what or how cute the things really are. I've even got a couple of my stuffed animals that were made with blanket yarn that'll actually get a mushroom to carry with them as like their little friend, their little stuffed animal safety friend. And that's just really fun for spring, and they're really adorable if you're doing Easter decorations as well, to kind of pop in some color and some different texture there as well. If you like the little mushrooms, make sure you hit the like button, and happy crocheting until next time.